Welcome to Buying Local. I'm your host, Matt Knoth with Five Towers Media. I'm joined today with Sean Palladino. Sean's a writer, freelancer, frequently actually contributing to our Buying Local publication, where you can see his works on the latest arcade, archaeology, Stinky's Coffee, even Kitcha Vibe, and just so many more. Along with that, Sean's a council on the council of Glens Falls in the Common Council. Sean, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Matthew.
Quite an introduction, wasn't that?
Yeah, I still am at a glow of like that I was even like elected because that was my first time ever like running for public office, and I learned so much along the journey. And the fact that it was down to just 28 votes really shows that every single vote matters.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Yeah, but before we get into things, just to kick things off, would you just take a minute? I know I had that lengthy introduction, but I know I missed probably half of the great things you do. So for the listeners, could you just take a minute and explain a little bit about who you are and where you're spending most of your time nowadays?
Um, well, I grew up actually in New Jersey, but moved into the area in 2017 to be with my now husband, Michael. We actually, after, we knew each other since 2015, and we finally decided we should get married at some point. So we finally got married last year. But we did get a house together in 2021, one of the new developments along the feeder canal, which has been lovely. And also, a weird like there's never a perfect time to buy a house, but it seemed like 2021 was like right at the cusp of everything rising. So I guess it was good that we decided to buy a house first and then get married. But I've been an active runner since I was in middle school, so I loved how there's the Adirondack Runners group in Glens Falls, as well as a relatively new group called Glens Falls Run Club that meets every Tuesday. um, so almost every week at least I try to have join one of their group runs. Um, I've worked at this is a new thing for me of being involved in civil service in terms of being elected council, as well as more recently working as a recording clerk for the Warren County, because I've always been in like logistics kind of jobs and manual labor, because I did not know what I wanted to do in life. I had suspicions. I've always loved to write when I was since I was little, but sometimes you never know because there's so many possibilities and it seems overwhelming. And I just love that I found my calling in a way of like whether it's helping people uh, with this councilman position or even the county clerk, as well as writing about the cool new businesses.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sean. I mean, I obviously want to unpack all of that. Just first off, congratulations on your recent
Thanks.
marriage and your big purchase of your home. That's great. That's wonderful. Um, But yeah, just to start it off, I just wanted to dive, I guess, a little bit deeper into your writing process. I'm pretty familiar with your writings. Going out and about, dropping off our newspapers, buying local, and we're very grateful to have some, outstanding articles written by you. Specifically, I just want to dig a little bit deeper in the writing process. What's it like when you're walking into these Stinky's Coffee or the Hub or these recent places that you've highlighted? Do you already know what the story is going to be when you're walking in there? Or is it something like this? You kind of just let the conversation go and then, you work your magic after. Kind of just walk me through that process of writing a story.
I think it's definitely a little bit of both because when I wrote about the Glens Falls Karate Academy, that was my first time ever joining the a karate academy, which based on my childhood bullies, maybe I should have learned karate well beforehand. But I that as well as others, I just go in like not knowing and just learning and taking it all in, as well as researching like the history of how long a business has been in existence. Like Glens Falls Karate Academy had been there for a decade. So it was fun to like research and look at what they were 10 years ago, especially how Ridge Street was 10 years ago in Glens Falls. Not
Mm.
like there was very few things there. Like there wasn't two restaurants, a bookstore, and a spa boutique. It was basically just Glens Falls Karate, uh, Glens Falls Chronicle, and City Hall. Not much on Ridge Street. Um, so I kind of do that, try and walk into an interview with someone, not knowing where it'll go, but also try and research history beforehand to get the context.
Awesome. Yeah, because there's you definitely have, I mean, each writer has their own, style and writing patterns and, storytelling. Specifically the one I was reading was your Arcade Archaeology, which was awesome, which was, I was thinking it was like, you're playing pinball, but you made the story make it seem like playing pinball was the most important thing in the world, you know? So,
I
yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I do have to say, I give credit to Lonnie, the owner, because his enthusiasm was infectious. Like, I think I put in my article that, like, if every time you walk in there, you will know way more about pinball and the history of pinball machines than you did before you walked in. That was really amazing. And I loved his enthusiasm. I think I mentioned, like, or maybe I sent you guys a picture of like one of the how he like opens up the pinball machine so it'll so you can do repairs. It's kind of almost like a I forget which kind of car. I think that maybe it's like a truck where it opens opposite way of the front what's it called, the front um
Where there's a trunk in the front.
yes, yep, yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah, I guess just could you explain a little bit like about that, maybe specifically with that arcade story? I guess I is there a moment where you thought I really want to help people see the places like I do? Explained how you walk in there and it's just so vibrant. The vibe in there is great. Do you want to have your articles um be in the same way that you see it?
Ooh, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, like try and like because my mind ever since I found out I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, I my mind is always running at like 1,000 miles a minute, like seeing this detail, and I think that's what I try and um, cultivate with how I write articles to like walk it. Someone walks in and be like, "Oh, there's these cool like machines here," or they walk into Glens Falls Karate Academy and like, "Oh, there's a whole bunch of like signs here, um, or um, or artifacts here." Or see, or walking into the romance bookstore, like all of the amazing like crafted bookshelves, like trying to sort of tell the history of how that thin was made, and as well as the things that sometimes people don't realize. Like I had no idea what the Project Pinball was that sort of started this whole thing, and how it's helped bring pinball machines into what was it? Looking at my article now, like um, uh, Ronald McDonald houses, hospitals. Like it's kind of a unique way of like, oh, like that's the you never know where pinball machines or why pinball machines end up where they are, and trying to bring that information to the readers.
Yeah, that's great. Was there, I mean, you're in front of so many interviewees and tons of businesses. Could you tell us about a time where there was a fun or maybe even a cool situation while writing a story that you've experienced?
I would definitely have to be Stinky's coffee was really fun because when I finished my article about Kitchen Vibe, Ryan from Stinky's Coffee, they have partnered with Diana's Kitchen Vibe because they have a Stinky's Coffee's brand coffee that you could buy from Kitchen
Yeah.
Vibe, and he loved my article so much that he's like, "Hey, can you write about my new shop that's going to be opened up?" And he literally like let me walk through his new shop before it was finished. So I got to see like some of one of the big wall art from Hannah Williams, right? Yeah, Hannah Williams, before it was finished. So I got to see how she stenciled in like all of the creatures before it was painted in. So that was my first time experiencing that of like seeing something before it was finished and getting excited to write about it.
Yeah, that's neat. Getting to see behind the scenes. Um, I mean, you do a lot of work with like short films and you have that artistic side. So could you kind of just walk me through? I mean, you upon connecting, you sent over a great blog, I guess. Correct me
Yep.
if I'm wrong, of your last past year. It's wonderful. I had the chance to go through it. And there's a section in there, short films, and it looks like a lot of it was recent or in the past work. Why did you decide to include that? Are you still in that world of short films? Do you still do that in your daily ventures?
Um, Well, I just do like short films for fun. Like I just
Fun.
finished
Oh,
a
cool.
really cool project for the Friends of Crandall Library because we just had our book sale, and I asked people if they wanted to have me record them and talk about the books they found. Because used book sales, you find so many different kind of books, and just trying to find people to highlight their book finds was amazing. So I made a little compile video from that. And I think most recent one I did was compiling footage when I was on the canal, when I was kayak on the canal, seeing all the beautiful nature shots. I just do it as a way to just another creative outlet kind of thing. Although I think on my blog, I did um, uh, put the 10 uh, videos that I made with my brother when I was like 14 called Those
Yeah.
Guys with the Laptop. It's weird watching them now, especially because our voices are definitely a lot higher pitched. And obviously, me without a beard is also fun to watch.
Yeah, everybody go check it out if you want to see Sean without a beard.
But you know what? It's kind of funny actually because I think those guys with the laptop. It was a way for me to practice what I'm doing now of how to review stuff, which was wow. I didn't realize that is kind of cool. It's like my life was I was doing everything all along.
Yeah.
uh,
That was going to be my next question. It always seems like you've had this knack for the creativity side, the um storytelling. Was there a specific moment maybe in your life where you were like, I just love to do this. This is my calling.
um, well, it's funny. I was not the best student, but when I went to community college, I got an associates in communications, which all the various classes like a broad selection of like one semester of radio production, one semester of journalism, one semester of a couple semesters of English literature. So in a way, like, and I remember when I was a kid, I would always have a notebook in hand, writing. There was a I'm trying to remember. There was a movie. I think the main actress passed away recently. Um, eh, I'll, I'll try. I'll probably remember late at night. But
Yeah.
there were so many different movies growing up that I'm like, oh, it, I guess I'm not the only one. I could like you can make writing a career kind of thing, even though it's not really a career at this point. But who knows?
Yeah,
But let's see. Oh, but I think on my website I did highlight a short story that I wrote when I was 10 years old called Ghosts to the Clubhouse. And it was really fun to like repost that and transcribe it from notebooks 25 years later because it was kind of lovely and also a fun little moment to reconnect with my cousins Michelle and Jenny, who were like a part of this book, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's awesome. The Ghost of the Clubhouse, along with a couple others that you've written, from a young age. I mean, was it just like you just sat down and just all these creative stories that, like you said, your head was rushing with the ADHD, and did it almost feel like these characters wrote themselves, or did it then, when pen to paper was that thought, or was it always just an effortless, oh, I'm just gonna write a story and it's gonna be amazing and this is what it's gonna be about?
I think I always try to like take different things from like different sources because whenever it goes to the clubhouse, it's about pirates. I was a big fan
Yeah.
of Pirates of the Caribbean, so that was a major influence. And also, I love like talking about like my experiences, like going to my cousin's house and climbing up the ladder for their treehouse. Um, and envisioning like, oh, what if it was a haunted treehouse kind of thing? Because I was also very, very much into the what's the word, ghosts and that kind of like phenomena. Um, but
Yeah.
it's funny. I reconnected with like the beginning of that, beginning of what my childhood was like when I went to see Anthony Vergiki's Color World, which was a children's book about his own life, essentially, of being this artistic kid that nobody really understood, and how he was able to use his imagination to create wonderful worlds. And this live production that he made last January, there was a scene where the Henry, what the main kid in it, was lying on the floor, like doodling a whole bunch of things. And that's exactly what my childhood was like, just with writing, like just constantly pen to paper, just writing all these different stories or journaling about what my day was like. And I'm realizing that's journalism is a huge or journaling in a way is a huge way to deal with any kind of like mental illness kind of thing, or deal with like whether it's depression, anxiety, or any kind of like trauma that you're going through, because when it's out of your mind, you're able to think clearly again.
Yeah, could you explain a little bit more of anything that you've dealt with, and maybe the journaling, like you said, that was a major piece to kind of get you through that. I mean, there's a lot of noise out there, and a lot of people who do deal with a lot of anxiety, depression. They don't really talk about it. So yeah, could you just expand a little bit more of maybe a personal story of how journaling has, kind of shaped your mindset around that?
Well, I do. One of the big things this past year is trying to break the stigma of just mental illness in general, when because we all deal with depression, anxiety, or any kind of trauma. And last this in 2024, I had a mental health crisis that almost took my own life. But I got the help I needed from Glens Falls Hospital, um, and through that experience, it was funny. When I was asked, like, have you ever like been to a therapist? Like, nope. Um, because I try to deal with it on my own, which sometimes it works, but sometimes you need that outside help.
Mm.
And I realized, like, going through that experience of just how powerful writing and meditation and talking to a therapist, because they're able to help work through problems much better than somebody might be on their own. Um, and I think finally finding that confidence again after depression has allowed me to try things that I never would have thought possible, like reaching out to a local paper to say, hey, can I be a freelance writer? Or deciding, hey, I want to help the city. How can I get on the ballot for a local election? Just these things that my mind would feel like, would have the negative thought patterns of like, you can't do this, Sean. You don't have the experience. But if you uh, find someone to help work through those negative thought patterns, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And it sounds like you're doing a lot better, and so that's great to hear. And we're very thankful to have you writing in our publication. There's no one better than you, Sean. But moving on to the council side, could you just explain a little bit more of why you decided to run in the first place?
It's funny. I remember when I was in high school, I was always the shy kid, but there was like a small part of me that was like, I want to run. Because the nature of it is really you're just represented and helping people get stuff, whether it's for a school or a town or um, to help improve their lives. And uh, the the fact that when I looked into it, that it was only 35 signatures I needed just to get on the ballot, I'm like, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And I got 43 signatures, and I had a good mindset of when you first run for public office, you're probably not going to win because Ben Latham, who represents Ward 4 of the Common Council, I think he
Mhm.
lost twice, either once or twice before finally getting elected. There was another gentleman, Bill Loeb, forget which ward he represented, but he had ran and lost his first time. So I knew my mindset of like it'll be a fun experience. If I lose, it's fine. But the fact that I won, I'm learning way more about local politics than ever in terms of like how it runs behind the scenes, especially with Diana Palmer's new initiative of trying to um, have things go through the various different committees, whether it's a quality of life committee, policy committee. So that way there's more eyes on the issues. And so that way the counselors are not just uh, the counselors don't have to know exactly all the ins and outs of whatever resolution they're trying to go through. Whether it's a policy committee, they could like have experts figure out like what are all the things involved with the policies, or the finance and audit committee. They could actually have experts to figure out whether this financial transaction is good or not. Um, I'm still learning. It's still a learning process, but I'm excited to like continue to help my neighbors have a better quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I also saw there was a section on the blog you sent over to me. From my understanding, you have transparent, I guess, meeting summaries um from each of the meetings or any of the councils, which I found is really cool because, someone like me who's not on the council can still know what's happening in these meetings. And I just think that's a really great aspect of it. Um, could you kind of just walk me through that process? Was it kind of awkward when you were writing an article and then, the person sitting next to you saw that they were in an article when they, I guess, weren't used to that before? Or was that, I guess, something that they appreciated? Now someone's coming in here and writing a whole blog and being transparent so our community knows what's happening. Just kind of walk me through that.
Well, I've definitely this is another learning experience of knowing what's private and what's public, um,
Yeah.
um, and and this is probably something that I that any journalist probably knows that I'm still learning of. always make sure you like ask before in town. Yeah, because I may have gotten into trouble recently of like some things that I thought I heard from somebody say, but realizing, oh wait, no, that was a private conversation. I should not
Oh,
have said that. Yeah.
yeah,
So it's a learning experience. But I'm getting better at it to make sure that anything I write is honest and also ensures that privacy is intact. Because
yeah,
because while transparency is nice, there are things people don't want to publicize. Just like
sure.
even my trying to destigmatize mental health awareness, some people just don't want to talk about it, and that's okay. And you got to um, let people find their own voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate you being open about that and again, tackling that stigmatism because there's a lot of people out there and people just don't like to talk about it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Going back to something you mentioned earlier on in the um, interview introduction was the Feeder Canal Alliance. From my understanding, you do a lot of cleanup with them, and you spend a lot of time around there. Could you update me on the great things that's happening around Feeder Canal?
Artie, the executive director, helped me submit a Parks and Trails application for an adopted trail along the feeder canal, um, which hopefully it'll get approved because it'll be a way for to get materials, whether it's trash bags or gloves, as well as um, being able to document any issues we see on the canal and send it to the Canal Corporation so they could help deal with any like trees that are down or stuff like that. So that way people can flow down the canal smoothly. Um, but you know what's funny? I've always like picked up trash because it's such an easy thing to just feel like you did something to clean up. And I love the fact that I'm inspired way so many people just to help clean up even just a small section of the canal because I think since May or last May we've picked up over 100 trash bags, which has been amazing in terms of like realizing like where all the hangout spots are along the canal, which is kind of funny. I'm like, oh, like that's where all the teenagers or 20 somethings party with used beer cans.
Right.
Uh, but also feeling like we're protecting the canal because there's a lot of animals that use it. So they don't have to like try and mosey around these bits of trash and cans.
Yeah, well, I know the community applauds you, and for the listeners out there, between the articles that you do, the council work, the volunteering, the running groups, all of it. You're doing some great work in our communities and in all of ours backyard. But what's that one thing that you really hope people across Warren, Washington, Saratoga that that they that you would want them to take away from the work you're doing?
I think the big thing is um, to really acknowledge that if I can do something, that anybody could do something, just to inspire more people just to get involved because it's so easy. Well, I say it's easy, but it's um, you really can do anything that you set your mind to because we live in an environment where everything's a quick Google search away on how to run for an elected position or how to start a running group um, or how to um, how to begin writing, whether it's like sending an email to a local newspaper or something like that. Like you really can do anything that you set your mind to, and I hope when people like hear me or see what I'm doing to that it resonates with them that if I could do something, they could do something. It's a, there should be no gatekeeping because we're as the nature of a democracy, like it requires our active participation.
Mm. Yeah, active participation from amongst us all. We can go do a do a lot of great things together as a community. But Sean, I know we're running short on time. I know I've tried to ask all my questions that I wanted, but if there were any questions that you wish I asked, oh, I guess I'm opening the floor to answer any questions that you hope I must have asked. Now's the time.
Would it be possible for me to ask questions about you? How did you get into buying local and this company?
Yeah, yeah, no, awesome. Well, there is a brief interview on Buying Local of
Oh,
Mike and I. We sat down just doing a little background of my work. But yeah, I'm originally not from this amazing community that I've been so welcomed with warm arms in. I'm originally from New Hartford, Utica area, a couple hours away. I went to school in Rochester, moved back out here, and then, you know, putting the feelers out, graduating from school, needed a job. So I was connected with Mike and, through a pretty long interview, like he liked to say, he put me through the ringer, but I really felt like this was a good spot for me. And I get to talk to amazing people like you. So I'm really grateful for where I'm at and, you know, how my career's been starting. So I appreciate you asking.
yes.
And yeah, I mean, I know we're getting short on time again, so if people wanted to, dive deeper, read more, learn more about you, Sean, where can they find you?
My website's the easiest. The Sean Palladino, so SeanPalladino.com. I have like all my blog posts. I try and link to any buy and local articles that I'm a part of, as well as my Common Council summaries that I'm still going on. Although kudos to our new Chief of Staff, Steve Thurston. Him and Emily Neal, the deputy city clerk, have done an absolutely amazing job of transforming the agendas that the Common Council gets in terms of making it easier to access with page numbers and links to
Oh.
things. Because the previous administration didn't really make it user friendly. So the fact that the agenda items hopefully make it easier for the public to dive into is will be a great thing. But also, I'm happy that I am making summaries. So even if they can't dive into a 200-page agenda, they can at least get the highlights of like what are these five important things or
That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sean. This was very inspiring. I had a great conversation. Um, and again, just appreciate you coming on. So thank you. And to everybody else who is listening, thank you. And of course, you can find us at buyinglocal.us. We are on Spotify, Apple, Rumble, and YouTube. And you'll be hearing from us next week.